Violence and intimidation now on both sides of the aisle. A boulder flies through the window of House Majority Leader Kevin McCarthy's California office. This as someone leaves an explosive device at the New York home of billionaire investor and donor George Soros. Joining me now to discuss is the Majority Leader himself, Kevin McCarthy. Congressman, it is good to see you this morning. Thank you very much for being here.
Oh, good morning, and thanks for having me back, Maria.
So you were not in your office when the boulder went through the window?
No, this was Saturday night at 9:54 p.m., and individual threw a great big boulder through, entered the office, and another person entered as well, and they stole equipment. I don't know if this is politically driven. It might be driven more just from the idea of stealing in the office, but it happened this Saturday.
And you have pictures of people on video, right, walking out of the office?
Yeah, we have security around the office. We put the cameras throughout, and you could see them literally breaking in, walking in and stealing. So I posted it on my Instagram for the community. Does anybody know these two individuals? Tell us who they are. They broke in, they stole office equipment, and we want to make sure we're a little safer. But in California, the Democrats have changed the laws where they give this early release or you don't have any jail time, and it's really moved the crime rate in California up.
And you're seeing that. Tell us about that. We have not spoken about that before. I mean, here we are 2 weeks before the midterm elections, and the upset in terms of the mob mentality is worse than ever. What are you seeing in terms of the midterm elections and the sentiment where you are today?
Well, you've watched this with Maxine Waters and others intensifying, where you saw Mitch McConnell recently at a restaurant or Ted Cruz at a restaurant, encouraging people for this behavior that's not acceptable. One thing about America, we believe in civil discourse. I mean, you could disagree with someone and not be disagreeable, but it's in your face and encouraged from the Democratic side. But there's some very good news, Maria. If you look at 8 of the most critical states for the U.S. Senate, and they have early voting now, because we're just 2 weeks away from today is the election, the Republicans are turning out higher in 7 of those 8 that have voted. And remember, the intensity level was on the Democrat side by more than 10 points before the Democrats did what they did to Justice Kavanaugh and to Dr. Ford. I think America kind of woke up. And I give a lot of credit to this president because those are the states that he's traveling in. This is an individual that works so hard. He has an unbelievable work ethic. And more importantly, look what he's done for this country. You know, the Economic Forum has just rated America as the most competitive country in the world. And we have not been here for a decade. And why did we get back here? Because the policies of what happened that we've been able to pass, from tax reform, from the regulation cut, what we did to end human trafficking online, and what he's going to sign when it comes to opioids. This is a movement that America is on the comeback. You look at the number of jobs that are being created. In August, the manufacturing jobs are back in America. We want to be able to maintain that and grow that even further.
And do you think that voters will be voting on that, on what you're talking about, this very strong backdrop? I know the president has been campaigning a lot. He's talking about the economy. You have been campaigning a lot and raising more money. You actually, the last time you were with us, told us you saw a change in terms of what's going on as a result of all of this. Do you see voters talking about this in particular?
I do see voters. I listen to voters talking about this. And you're right, I am on the road. I'm down in Tampa today. I'll be with Russ Spanos, an open seat, competitive seat. One of the challenges that Republicans have is, one, history is against us, but secondly, the number of retirements that we have. But the real challenge that we have is 3 individuals who are trying to buy the Congress and flip it. One is Soros. One is Tom Steyer's that has spent more than $120 million. And then Bloomberg, where you saw that all that entertainment of what he brought forward, saying he re-registered as a Democrat a week ago. He also gave an $80 million check to win the House and a $20 million check to win the Senate because he wants to run for president. He's trying to buy the nomination. But I think the voters are waking up to that. The money is an advantage to the Democrats in this last realm, but I'll be in 5 different districts in Florida, then I'll be up in Georgia, where Bloomberg just gave $2 million to try to beat Karen Handel, who is one of the most effective members in Congress that won that big special election, Tom Price's old seat in Atlanta. But that's what they're trying to do, and that's what the message you have to get out. For those listeners out there that know that what this economy has changed, America being competitive again, we've got more people working ever, we got more jobs being offered than people looking for it, and unemployment at an all-time low.
Well, it's interesting because you mentioned Michael Bloomberg. I saw Chuck Schumer the other night, and he said to me, Maria, who will you vote for, Michael Bloomberg or Donald Trump? So, I mean, he was referring to 2020. I just laughed at it because Bloomberg was at the event, the Al Smith dinner. Do you think Michael Bloomberg will be on the other side of the podium with President Trump come 2020?
No. He may have been able to buy off Schumer with that $100 million that he gave. Who knows if he's trying that Pelosi's in the same place. But I don't believe that'll be the case. I don't believe he'll win the nomination from the Democratic Party.
With all of this, Congressman, you've got this border crisis. President Trump says he's going to send as many troops as necessary to stop now 7,000 migrants strong caravan headed for the United States. This goes hand in hand with the bill that you've introduced, which includes $23 billion for the wall and security around it. Tell us about the Build the Wall, Enforce the Law bill that you're bringing to the floor when you come back.
It's very simple. It's build the wall and enforce the law. And part of enforcing the law are bills that we have voted on in this House, like stopping MS-13 gang members. And I'll promise you that they'll be in that caravan because that's the #1 place they'll want to go to move through. Also, about sanctuary cities, these cities that actually harbor and go against federal law that encourage individuals to come through. You want to be able to, and what we're finding in this caravan today, there are a number of people who've been deported 3, 4, 5 times. That's a real challenge of where we move through. And then some of these cities that are being run by these liberals are now allowing illegals to vote. You look at San Francisco. If you're in a school board election, you can vote in those elections. And think how far they would move if the representative from San Francisco actually becomes the Speaker of the House and Nancy Pelosi. She'll take those policies because when I brought a bill to the floor condemning that, more than 140 Democrats either voted no against that or voted present. The same thing they did when we wanted to honor ICE. They want to eliminate ICE. So we need to have border security. This caravan shows it. But another big point here, Maria, we had a bill on the floor to deal with immigration reform. The security dealt with DACA and also dealt with ending this catch and release, which is encouraging these individuals to come across the border because they can enter this country illegally and stay here on a catch and release. Look, we are a country of a rule of law. And if you break the rule of law, you're going to break society.
Well, look, I'm coming to you this morning from San Francisco, and when watching the market sell off, Congressman, the Dow Jones Industrial Average right now down 416 points as people worry about growth slowing down. The president, in the meantime, is talking about tax cuts 2.0. He wants to push this new middle-income tax cut through Congress after the midterm elections. He says Kevin Brady is working on it in House Ways and Means. If the economy is doing so well, why do we need another tax cut plan?
Well, what we're talking about, remember, right before we left, Congress passed and made it permanent the individual rates, and the Senate needs to take those up. But he's also looking at middle income, a place that we could continue the growth and continue America's comeback.